One. All right, I've got a treat for you folks today here on the Mindscape podcast. I've got Enrique, known as Kike, who I've had the honor of meeting about a week ago. We had a really good conversation. I always enjoy talking to other facilitators, getting their perspective, and we just agreed on so many of the important areas that I thought, we should share this conversation also because he has a phenomenal training out there in the European area, and I have one here in the US. And again, what really made me feel good about our conversation was we're both on the same page of like this isn't a competition. The objective is to train good people to be in this space. So let's kind of work together on this. And that's not common in the facilitation space. There is still some level of competition with folks. And to meet somebody that doesn't feel that way is an honor. So I appreciate you taking some time with me, my friend.
Thank you so much to invite me, bro.
Yeah, well, I guess just some simple questions to start. Can you just share a little bit about yourself and what inspired you originally to be a facilitator with 5MEO?
Well, yeah, I was 14 years ago, I was married and I was social user of cocaine. And then I got divorced, I lost my job, and I got broken my leg in four pieces in the motocross. And suddenly I started using more cocaine, or more and more and more, till the time I got depressed and I want to suicide, injecting myself big doses of cocaine. Thanks to God, I meet Gonzalo, and he told me, "Hey, you seems to be a good person. In 4 months, is coming a shaman from Mexico, Octavio Retin, and he will spray the medicine. If you want to join, come over." So I went, and Octavio is a hardcore guy, so I had 3 doses, full doses that day, and yeah, it was the most beautiful experience ever in my life. I have almost 4 months of flashbacks, but in a good way, not the way as other people got, because some people can get the lack of sleep for weeks, and that's when the psychosis comes, no? But on my case, it was beautiful. I was sleeping 4 hours, waking up 4 o'clock in the morning, start doing some breath work, getting back down there, and also little dreams. And then, of course, I have the Messias call, as much people in these days they do, like trying to help others. So I went in touch with Octavio Retin. He told me, "Yeah, yeah, I will train you. I will train you." And then when the moment came, I told him, "Look, I come in February." Then he told me, collect 20 people, we do the ceremonies, and we go away. He says, well, we didn't agree that. I agreed that I will travel with you and I will learn from you. Then he blocked me on WhatsApp, he blocked me in Telegram and Facebook, and says, okay, so I go my own. And I did it. Come back with a lot of fears because it's such a powerful thing that it deserves a lot of respect. So I started doing my friends, and thanks to God, I was lucky. I got invited to Holland. I did the ceremony there. Down there, it was the owner of a healing center in Ibiza. I went to work with him because he liked the work I was doing it, the approach. And then Nacho Vidal, the famous porno actor, that somebody dies with him taking the medicine.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
I remember that story.
afterwards, yeah, yeah, he come to me and I give him the medicine, and since then my career start going like crazy because another actors calling me and so on, and I was start traveling around the world with still with a lot of fears. The first 3 years with a lot of fears to travel with the medicine in the airplanes, but then I lost the fear. I get confident. Of course, I have many struggles during my career. One of them that I want to say to the public, the new people that they will really want to learn the medicine, that is very important to be trained properly, because one of the experiences that a girl stopped breathing. Thanks to God, it was a paramedic down there, and he teach me how to rescue her, and that makes me study CPR and go to a course for first rescue. And since then, I know. And I have 14 years and almost 14,000 people served around the world, and 3 occasions people stop breathing. So this is something that I admire from people like you that they are doing these courses, because there is people there doing, and one weekend they go to Sonora, they smoke the medicine 10, 15 times, and then there are facilitators. And I think it deserves more preparation, more respect, much more protocols, because as you know, people that they take in antidepressive, triphasic antidepressives like Prozac could be also very, very dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's interesting you brought up the CPR. I was part of an online like Facebook group for facilitators and 5MEO, and I remember just telling folks, I'm like, I wouldn't sit with anybody that isn't certified in first aid or CPR, like
Mhm.
specifically CPR. And they sent me like a private note, like, "Hey, you're scaring people. You shouldn't scare them." I was like, "This is a fundamental skill set. If somebody stops breathing," because I remember early on when I was working with the medicine, that was my biggest fear. I was like, I'd always tell the facilitator, I'm like, make sure I keep breathing, right? So I had this fear of it. And so to me, that was one of the skill sets that I thought was crucial. I'm like, if you can't keep me physically safe, then I'm not going to feel safe in this experience. And it's already a big enough experience. And for us to provide this atmosphere of safety, I think is crucial. That being said, what, in your view, what is the most important quality facilitator that must embody or have to be effective in the space, in your opinion? And I know there's
Well,
several, but what's an important
I,
one?
I think there is a lot of factors that we need to considerate, because even the preparation, like for example, I ask my clients I send a PDF with all the things that they should do before coming to the ceremony, and especially to start getting rest much better days before, because it's not the same when you're going to go to trekking when you are totally fully rest than when you are tired, right? So it's also the same like this. Also, like, try to avoid uh, dinner and go fasting, because there is a lot of possibilities of being vomiting, and you don't know in which position you're gonna be, and if you vomit and then you are in the wrong position, of course. Also, there is techniques that you need to put the people on the side, and with the plastic bag. A lot of people use a bucket, but I mean, you cannot use a bucket because the people is totally out. So I use a plastic bag, a hard one, with some papers in case the people wants to vomit, and help them to put in the side in the case they
Yeah,
are totally gone. So, but at the same time, I ask people to not eat, to come fasting for 24 hours before, to avoid that. Even with that, drinking the tea, because they drink a little bit of water or tea, even they vomit with that. So it's still a little bit risky. I don't know if you
yeah,
see Hamilton. He talk about that in one of the, I think he does this video for five. The guys are working in Tepoztlan, that I also think they're doing a beautiful, real good training course.
agreed.
Of course, it's 12,000 euros. I think we charge him maybe the half of it. Maybe I am a little bit more experienced than those guys, but it doesn't matter. It matters that they are doing like
Agreed.
proper research, and a lot of people, scientifics and people that they are doing big research with the medicine and somehow involved, as you do, with
No,
Martin.
I agree wholeheartedly. And you brought up again my more recent fear. It started off with breathing, then after about five ceremonies, it was aspirating, again, choking on your own vomit.
Mhm.
Because a lot of the research I was seeing was the people, well, the majority of the folks that were dying in the space were people that would pass out. They did it alone, or they did with somebody who wasn't qualified, and they would essentially just choke on their own vomit.
Of course.
And that was something that I wasn't really prepared for my first time of being in the space. But similar to you, it's like I need you to come on an empty stomach, because it's a possibility. And then also, hey, just really minimize the amount of water you take in. I know when we get nervous, we just kind of like sip on things. Um, And yeah, it's the position that you're referring to is like the recovery position. So being able to get them over on their side so they could release that. So you're right. It's impossible. Like you're not gonna be able to lift them up and try to aim them towards a bucket. That's just not practical. But that is probably one of the things that I look out for the most now is, again, are they going to aspirate? But if they do come in with an empty stomach, it doesn't eliminate it, but it does help minimize it, like you said. So I'm in total agreement with that.
Yeah.
And like I said, most of the people that I've seen that have had problems in the space, it's they did it alone, which just my personal opinion. I've had a
Yeah.
lot of experience with the medicine, taking it myself. I never do it alone. I always have my wife or somebody there that can move me in that position, because you just never know.
Yeah.
Um,
I have,
yeah,
I
what?
have, I have, sorry to interrupt you.
No, please go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, as you know, I have my webpage for Bufo alvarius, and a lot of people approach me and says, "Hey, how much is the gram?" Says, "What are you talking about? This is like selling a gun to a child, and you don't even know. You teach him how to shoot. Here in Europe also is a lot of people having accidents that they believe that they can buy it doing their own, and there is like maybe 10 in the 10 like 10 newspapers. One jump out of the window, or another one was on the roof with their friends, and they jump out because they couldn't control him. One guy drowned in the jacuzzi. So I highly recommend the people, if they're gonna do that, to do that with someone that they can contain the space, and also with someone that is prepared to help in any case of emergencies. Because I mean, you saw it, people get wild sometimes, in a way. So it's good to have a good preparation and to be with someone that really knows how to work and how to have a safety environment to help the people in case it's needed. Yeah.
I think that's such an important point. Look, I'm a believer that as humans we should have access to medicines, but also this is not a traditional medicine. Probably similar to you when I talk about folks that are interested in the experience. Well, I've done a bunch of psilocybin, or I've done LSD, or I've done, ayahuasca. This is none of those things. And, one of the big factors in this is on a full release dose, you know, I say it's like you're offline. You're not present or aware of your physical surroundings at all. And what type of physical or energetic expression that you're having could be all over the place. Some people lay there like little
Yeah.
Buddhas. That tends to be me. I just lay there. Some people could scream at the top of their lungs. Some people could try to claw at their eyes,
Yeah.
scratch your face, hit themselves, bite their fingers. I mean, there's so many physical expressions. And I'm a pretty big guy. And I don't know the conversion to metrics, but here in the US, I'm 6'6", 240
Uh,
pounds. Like I'm a big human being.
yeah.
And I've worked with folks that it's taken me and a couple people, even though they're smaller size, to keep them safe. So I'm just really cautious, that if I have somebody new that I've not seen their expression or not seen their experience, that I want to make sure that I've got some support in that space. Because, like you said, they try to get up and leave the space. I've seen people walk towards windows. It can get wily in there. And I think unless you've seen that, in a multitude of expressions, you're not prepared for this at all. You're not prepared for this work. And if you're somebody that's looking to go into this space, maybe this is a good question. What type of question should somebody ask a facilitator? Like, I think you and I both, we just kind of showed up, right? There wasn't any interview process, there wasn't any questions. I'm just like, oh, this guy's doing it. I'll show up. And I showed up and I did it. And we turned out
Uh-huh.
okay for the most part. My
Yeah.
wife may disagree, but I turned out all right. But for folks that have that opportunity, think we already touched on one. Are you certified in CPR? What are some other
Uh-huh.
questions you think would be good for participants to ask a potential facilitator?
Well, after so many years of experiences, I do the like 10 or different, 7 or different, no, 10 different questions. One of them, if there people are in any medical how you call treatment,
Yeah.
important if they are taking any antidepressives. Important to ask if they had a stroke or they have a heart attack before. Important if they have a fail down the last 3 months before. Important to ask if they consume any hard drugs during the 7 days period, the medicine or the ceremony. If the family has some historical issues of psychosis or any mental illness, if they have any previous experience with psychedelics that after that raise them some kind of psychosis too. If they have any diabetes, also if they overweight, and also if they have any sugar problems, because it happens once. I served in Hamburg. I was there, and the guy says, I have diabetes. Says, can I take the medicine? I says, you have your insulin, how it works. You need it daily, how we manage. I says, no, no, I need it when the alarm comes up. So I says,
Oh,
okay, give me your watch, give me the insulin in the case that in the process you start your
smart.
your your insulin glucose goes down. I can shoot you. So all these things needs to be in a way uh, in mind and prepare it and to have all this information. Even if you send in a pre-questionnaire, because it's good also before people come a month before or 2 months before, you send in a file that they need to complete it online or in a PDF, and then need to fill it out. They will read everything that is important, all these points. But anyways, double check before the ceremony. Double check is always in military. I think you were military. I guess no, you were military. The double check is something that you cannot miss, and more in this kind of work. Double check everything, that is everything right to go, ready to roll, and then go with the experience. Otherwise, it can create an accident in somehow. Yeah.
I think, and this is one of the reasons I was really interested in this conversation and why I respected our last conversation so much, is there's not a lot of talk about that intake process, right? And similar to you said early on, I would show up sometimes and I'd be really nervous. But the more in-depth intake process I started doing, the more I knew about the participant, the more I knew that they were safe, the better I felt about being in the space. And it's an in-depth medical process and psychological, right? Like you said, things that people don't even take into consideration, even things like supplements, right? There's like kratom and kana and all these other things that folks are taking, and it's important to understand those, how those could impact the experience, how those could be contraindications to this medicine, and all that comes out in that intake process. And again, either if you're considering facilitating this medicine, you need to have a really good intake process, not just as you said for the physical aspects of it, but we'll also talk about some of the psychological aspects of it. I mean, you can't screen everything. Some folks do still have difficult landings and reactivations that they struggle with for months, like you said. But I think you can minimize a lot of that, not all of it, but you can minimize a lot of that by knowing who is stepping into your space. And so again, I really respect that about you, that you take this intake process as seriously as I take it. It's crucial to know everything about the participant. And if you're a participant and you're considering stepping in the space, and maybe you have some medical concerns or there's some issues that you don't want to share, you've got to be open with that, right?
Of
You're
course.
putting, selfishly, you're putting the facilitator, and if you're in a group, you're putting them all at risk, right? If something happens to you. So you've got to think just outside yourself, but you're also obviously putting yourself at risk. And if you are on medications that you think would disqualify you, most of those we could work with, to kind of help wean you off of so you can step into the space safely. So don't hide these things or fear. And I get it when we're dealing with addiction and trauma. We become desperate necessarily for the medicine. I was desperate, right? I was desperate. And when you're desperate, sometimes you make poor decisions and you exclude information because you don't want to be
Rejected,
told
no?
no. But
Yeah,
don't
yeah, yeah.
do that because we both again have a process. We can help you get off these medicines safely, have a safe experience, and then potentially if you feel you need to get back on them, you could be helped with that. So just be safe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wanted to share something with you because I have a fight the other day. I'm not jealous about people serving the medicine. You know, I think we need thousands of mechanics, thousands of doctors, thousands of waiters, thousands of policemen, and we need also thousands of facilitators. The only thing is doing on the right way. I have a fight with a guy in Mexico in Tulum. He has a hotel that he calls Bufo alvarius, and it's in the street where all the people's drinking and passing by, and the guy has the hotel there. And the other day, I don't know, I was curious about him, he was doing, and he's also teaching how to work with the medicine. So I was curious. I says, okay, I'm gonna go and apply as a client to see which kind of protocols and questions they will do to me before I go there. And then the guy started telling me, I says, look, I am overweight. I take Prozac, and I have a heart disease in the valve in the heart. You think I can take the medicine? Yeah, yeah, yeah. You just to stop 1 week before the Prozac, and you can drink a lot of water, and you can show up. And then I tell you, bro, this is kick again. He says, bro, if you have in a hotel and you are serving this medicine, you should take a proper training course. If you know, if it's not with me, because I already tell you 4 times during this 10 years to go and prepare yourself a little bit better with someone else, but do it, bro, because what you're saying is insane, and you have a lot of risk in this hotel to damage someone. And he got pissed off. He started posting on my Facebook that I am jealous, that I am this and this and that. I needed to really to block him, in a way. But I was
Well,
not see that like this, like tourist trap thing. Not
yeah.
because I am jealous, because the people can be drinking for a few days before. Even the drinking alcohol needs to be stopped 7 days before the medicine at least. And people is using cocaine and alcohol in those touristic places, as you cannot imagine. So he is playing the lottery in there. But I told him already he doesn't want to listen. So I wish that he doesn't get involved in something serious.
Well,
Keep
I
going.
think you again brought up a piece that I just really respect about you. And again, we had this conversation in the past that there is a lot. This medicine and facilitation is fascinating to me. This medicine, to me personally, was like this ego dissolution, and it showed me all these parts of my ego where jealousy and lack, right, and competition resided, right?
Yeah,
So yes, early on I would see people and I'm like, oh, they're better or they're this or these things. Um, but ultimately you should move through that. So I guess where I'm going with that was when I see facilitators that are jealous, which is not uncommon, right? It's more common than not common than
yeah,
what I've
yeah,
seen. And so they're very hypercritical of other facilitators without really knowing what they're doing. They feel like it's some level of competition against them. And we both had this conversation. We even started off the conversation today about that of like, we need more good facilitators, right? But if I'm a doctor and I know the guy down the hallway didn't go to medical school, really didn't do his education, doesn't really understand how to do heart surgery, yeah, I'm going to speak up and say you probably shouldn't be doing heart surgery, my man. Like go to school, get some training. It's no
yeah,
different here because it's such a sacred and important medicine that any bad press, any bad news because people are doing it incorrectly is going to impact this space in general. But
Yeah,
overall,
I think
yes,
it's
I want more
already.
people.
I think
Yeah.
it's already. I'm sorry to interrupt
Yeah.
you, but I think it's already on that level. That that is happening so many accidents. Then sooner or late, in the maybe in Mexico, that is still legal, or in Portugal, or I think some states in the United States, that they all put it back again into the black box with all these substances, dangerous substances in somehow. So it's not about competition, it's about serving the people correctly. And more than happy to help anyone. I mean, as you're doing a great job. I think people needs to understand it, because sometimes the people says, oh, I don't need it, I smoked 3 times and the medicine told me what to do. And I go like, "Oh, sorry, excuse me, you need to prepare. You cannot fly on an airplane or trying to take off an airplane if you're not been sitting with the pilot, or if you don't know 360 kilometers per hour, the wind will take you up, and when you pull the steering wheel, or how you want to land it. you know as more prepared as you are, as more the people is going to trust on you. It's like you go in a restaurant, you ask for, this is a salad, and the waiter, hey, what does this salad have? And the waiter look at you and says, wait a minute, I'm going to go ask to the chef. That Then the waiter tells you, hey, he has eggs, anchovies, lemon, mustard, this, that, and that, and that. You says, okay, that waiter knows what he's doing, no? And you feel more comfortable. It's the same with the medicine part in somehow. This is how I feel it, you know. And I even, sometimes people approach me and says, oh, your course is too expensive. Okay, how much you can afford? No, I can afford the half. No problem. I prefer that you have trained it, even if you cannot pay the whole amount. That if
Yes.
you go on train and start damage people somewhere in the world. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, folks that are, listening to this, and again, as we kind of touched on the two trainings, um, the price is reasonable, but also, yes, we understand everybody's in different financial positions and different financial situations. And also, when I first created my program, I got a lot of heat from people, facilitators, like, you can't do that. You shouldn't do that.
Cool.
These folks aren't ready. Like the community in general was not very happy that I had created a program for it.
Right.
And I told them, like, my thinking behind it is, when somebody comes to me, similar to what you said, they've done it a few times, they're like, I want to do this work to help people. They are going to do it. And I'm not the facilitator police. Who am I to say who gets to and doesn't get to? That'd be ridiculous. So we have a
Exactly.
couple options with that person. We could either say, no, I don't think you should, and turn our back on them, or we could bring them closer and give them good training, because they're going to do it anyways. And I've settled towards, I'm going to bring them closer at whatever price point that works for them, whatever payment model works for them. So as they go out into the world, they're not harming people, and they're as
Beautiful.
qualified as they can. But also, as you know, working with this medicine is also extremely healing for us. Like, my journey to become a facilitator was life changing for me. I think people do it a few times and they think, like, my life has been changed. Yes. But as you're working with other people and continue to have a relationship with the medicine, your perspective on everything is going to shift and adjust and evolve and change. So it's a great opportunity to bring these folks closer and just make sure that they're prepared for what they're about to go do.
Yeah, exactly. And I appreciate if you are doing the same, because it's not because of us, it's because the rest of the world and the name of the medicine, no? We need to know that there is facilitators, I don't want to say names, that I have people they die with them.
Yes.
And this is crucial, and this is something that is happening, and it happens from the past. Uh, but we need to prevent as
Yeah.
best we can.
And I think, in a lot of people's defense, folks that are interested in doing this work, um, they had like a similar experience that maybe we did our first times. I absolutely love the person that facilitated to me first, right? But when I see that experience, right, there was no intake process, there was no communication, there was no informed consent about what could potentially happen, what that could look like, how that can go negative. There was no integration. It was like literally I showed up, paid a couple $100, had
I
two
know.
big ceremonies back to back, and they just kind of moved me over on a tapestry. Now I got lucky, that changed my life, but also that was my perspective on how this work is. And so new folks that have also gone through that experience are like, well, I could do that. I could light a pipe and do
Of
this for
course.
folks. So in their defense, they don't understand that there's nuance to this and all the other things that we've kind of talked about. And that's why, again, I think these types of training and conversations are important. Um, Question for you. So, yeah, we've kind of touched on it. You've been in the space significantly longer than me. What type of trends or changes do you see happening in like the 5-MeO DMT or Bufo community? And like, where do you see it headed, good or bad, or good and bad?
Well, in somehow I have seen, I mean, I can be talking to you 24 hours, so beautiful changes in lives. Even people with psychosomatic problems, they heal, and surprising things, you know. I maybe like to mention one. I was once in here, and I was coming to Germany, and a girl contacted me and says, Kike, you know, I know you coming to Czech Republic, and I want to from Czech Republic to Germany, and I wanted to have the medicine. I says, yeah, which is your issue? I says, I want a suicide. I say, well, how you want a suicide? Yeah, yeah, I want a suicide. Okay, wait me, don't do it. I come to Cologne and then we do the ceremony and we'll see what happens. Yeah, yeah, come soon, come soon. He says, well, I come in 15 days. I arrived down there to the place, bro. The girl came, then I have the list of the people. I was doing the questions and so on, and then she showed up, and then it was a stunning, beautiful girl, beautiful, beautiful, like you can imagine. I says, how you want to suicide? I thought, I mean, I pulled her in privately and says, how you want to suicide? So look at yourself. You're such a beautiful being, you know. And she says, it's the monkey. The monkey is there. I cannot stop it. I've been in therapies. I've been everywhere. And I'm totally depressed. I am osteopath and my work is not flowing. And I says, okay, let's do it. She tried once. I wanted to serve her a little bit more in the second round. It was not a full dose. And she says, no, Kike, I got it. I thank you. I'm leaving. Okay. She left. After a week, she called me, says, Kike, I feel totally different. I have no words to tell you how much I appreciate. Thank you so much. I say, sister, please keep in touch because I would like to know how it develops. 2 months after, she called me, says, Kike, I'm fully booked. My vibration changed totally. People wants to come to my consultor to my medical practices, and I'm super happy. I says, wow, you know, this is like, you know, after trying to be suicide, how the people can come, you know. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful experience. Yeah. So it's such a beautiful job. Of course, give you some, you know, after being traveling so much, I got tired. But my gasoline now is the feedbacks, the people that what the people can share with me and see the results afterwards in a way, you know. And also what I see a lot is these practitioners that, as you say, you know, people show up, charge medicine, and then when the people is face struggle because also by studies here in the Czech Republic with Rita Kosova, that it was the ex-girlfriend of Octavio Retin, and also Malin from the University of Holland, and ICERS and MAPS, they do a research. It was a girl traveling with me, and also Rita was traveling with Octavio, and she was collecting data, and another girls also collecting data with different practitioners here in the European Union. They pull all the data together, and they come out with the results that from every 10 person, one person can struggle afterwards with the sleeping problems. So this is also why it's such important also to have the information what the people should have on the side of the bed in case that they go in the flashbacks and they cannot sleep, because one day without sleeping is okay. 2 days not sleeping becomes annoying, but in the third day it comes, uh, it comes, how you call it, paranoia and schizophrenia and all
Yeah,
these
yeah.
psychosis at the end of the day. And if you don't have the tools to let them know, the people, and if you are these shamas practitioners that they just do the medicine and then you disappear, they don't even have your phone number, and then you need the help, I think it's so sad, and is also giving a bad name to reputation for the medicine, because the medicine can be amazing, but if you overdose and then you cannot sleep for days, of course, it's horrible in a way. So all these things are good to know, that at least, and also let know the people what it can happen afterwards. I think a lot of people, they don't advise. They says, okay, the medicine, yeah, yeah, will be beautiful for you. Don't worry about it. And then they don't let look, it could be flashbacks, it could be like not, maybe you remember a whole experience, maybe you will black out, you never know. So all these things needs to be given away, all the information, so the people says, you want to take it or not, you say, you tell them what is in the field, and that's your responsibility, is to tell what is in there, and then the people responsibility says, okay, I take it, but at least give support afterwards in somehow. Such important thing, no?
Yeah, my wife's a therapist, so I have like therapist terms for some of these things, although they're not needed. But yeah, it's like this concept of informed consent, right? So for people to say yes to something, yes, I want to participate in this ceremony, they need to know everything that could happen. Otherwise, they don't know what they're saying yes to, right? And I
Mhm.
think the problem is sometimes new folks or folks that are just starting off in the space because they had a beautiful experience. That's how they sell it, so to speak. Like, oh yeah, just sit in, you take the medicine, you'll meet God, you'll have this consciousness, unconditional love. It's beautiful, right? That sounds very appealing to somebody. Everybody's
Yeah,
going to say yes to that. But when it's like, hey, look, you can get physical, this could happen, XYZ, and could happen. It's a potential for potential psychosis if we're not getting good sleep. Not everybody has a perfect or beautiful experience out first, right? This is a long-term kind of evolution too. Yes, you can get some energetic shift immediately, but really long term, you have to like integrate this process. So giving people all the information, the good and the bad. I think that
yeah,
also comes with competence and confidence of I'd rather say somebody say no to me than say yes to a false idea of what's going to happen in the space. So I share everything. This is some of the negatives that could happen. So just know what you're stepping into and have some reverence for it and respect for the potentiality of what's going to happen in the space versus it's all love and light. Because the expression I use is like it's all love and light until it's not.
no,
And if it's not, are you prepared to help folks when it's not? Right.
exactly.
Um, question, and this is just a fun one because I'm curious your opinion. What what do you think is happening during this experience? Like for somebody new, I just heard about 5-MeO, maybe watched a couple videos on Bufo, and I asked him like, what do you think this medicine is doing? What's going on in this experience? And this is opinionated, obviously. What's your opinion on that?
Well, I mean, on scientific approach, we know that it's working on the amygdala and it's doing the work in the traumatic part of the brain. But I mean, also works in different parts and expands and makes plasticity, right? But it's like a reset and reboot, and maybe most of the experience is the unity with everything, and finding your own God in everything and in yourself and everything that is all around you. That's the most typical experience. But as I told to the clients, everybody comes, you says, please don't look any YouTube testimonials, because as unique as you are, as unique the experience will be. Don't
Yes.
come with the idea, okay, it's gonna be like Mike Tyson, because Mike Tyson says this, and this, and that, or Tommy Robbins, or whoever actor, Nacho Vidal. Nacho Vidal He has a testimonial after the Bufo, and if you listen to that testimonials, you says, I want to do the medicine because what he got, it was amazing. But it doesn't mean that it's going to be the same as everyone. It could be also health for someone, So
Yeah, yeah,
in general, it's like that, So I think the most beautiful thing is like people like you, six there, and they take the time because I believe that a lot of people, oh yeah, I can do 10 people a day and so on. And I think it's not the approach. I think the real clinical approach is to have someone and maybe work with him for a week and then go level by level, working in that type of approach. But of course, sometimes you have a lot of demand and you need to serve a lot of medicine. But also it's not necessary, there comes the warrior, the man. I want a full dose. Okay, you want a full dose, and it's better to not. Sometimes full dose makes the people forgot. I've been experienced that the people they have less medicine was much better than the full amount of the people asking, and they thinking that will be much better for them in a way. So it's
yeah.
it's a lot. It's still a lot of research and still a lot of experiences to go on and to understand a little bit better. But I think sometimes less is more.
Yeah, I think you obviously touched on a bunch of important pieces. I think one of the prime pieces I hope folks kind of take away is yes, if you go watch videos on it, um, well, you said it, as unique as you are is the uniqueness of the experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times when friends hear about it from another friend, again, it's all the love and light, like, oh my gosh, it was amazing. I met it. Beautiful, right?
Yeah.
Yes, that could happen, but also this could happen, right? So again, just be aware that it is unique to each individual, although there's seems to be a lot of overlap and potentiality for that egoic dissolution, that connection with source, consciousness, God, whatever term you want to use with it. And I think what makes it unique is, and not to get too nerdy, but common psychedelics like psilocybin, ayahuasca, they're working on the 5-HT2A receptor, which provides this like hallucinogenic visual, hypervisual experience. And this one is hitting the 1A receptor, which is more about your identity, this egoic dissolution consciousness. And that's what makes it such a unique experience when you try to explain to somebody. I remember the shaman I was working with in ayahuasca, she went and had an experience and she's like, you need to do this. And I was like, well, what'd you see? Like, what were the visuals? She's like, nothing. And I was like, well, was it scary? She was like, it was horrifying. And I'm like, why would I want to do that? I was like, that doesn't sound appealing at all. So it's hard to explain like what is happening in that experience, but it's this embodied experience. It's like a knowing. You just know that this happened to you. And I try to express to people, and again, just my opinion. I'm not saying it's right, but there's a couple parts to like the full experience. The first part is if you do take a full dose, people are going through what we call like a somatic experience, and that's when you're seeing like the vibrations or they're screaming or like they're having and you can see it when they're on a full like that they're deep in the medicine.
Mm-hmm.
And what I relate that to is if you watch a video of a gazelle that escaped from a lion, right? Mammals will go into high grass or go to a safe place and they'll start vibrating and they're removing the excess adrenaline from their body. Like, when was the last time you drove to work and somebody cut you off or you had an argument with somebody, you were angry and you kind of pulled over and just started vibrating? Like, we don't do
Yeah.
that anymore. We just keep shoving it down. So I think for a lot of people, that experience is the first time they were able to shut their brain off and allow their body to release all this excess energy or adrenaline, whatever you want to call it. And that in itself is healing, right? That's this energetic experience. And then you said it, when you're completely offline, you're not aware of it. But as you start trickling back online, right? The analogy I use is like you were just in the pool of consciousness, the pool of God, and we kind of pulled you out and set you on the side of the pool. And now you're slowly drying off. It's in that drying off stage. It's like, oh, I think I was just one with everything. I think I was communing with God, source,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
consciousness. Your brain's trying to make sense of this experience. And then within like 30, 45 minutes, you start getting drier and drier and drier. And then the experience almost starts to fade. And it's fascinating. You probably had this too. People could leave like 2 hours later and they're like, I don't even know what happened to me. Right. Not uncommon for something like I know something happened, but I'm not necessarily sure what happened because there wasn't this hyper visual, like, the machine elves or none of that's happening. I mean, I have some mild, you know, uh, thoughts like that, but that's once my ego's back on. And I think the ego is just trying to make sense of the experience. So it will create images. But yeah, I think to what you said that especially to me, like once folks have had a few larger experiences or even one large experience, and just in general, like there's so much more that this medicine can do in like smaller doses. And then, like me personally, I haven't taken a full dose in a while now, but I take like these medium-sized doses, and that allows me just to kind of surrender into consciousness and like touch it and feel it and remind myself of it and kind of work in that space. So it's often overlooked, and people have the misconception that I have to take this full dose all the time to get benefits
Mhm.
from it. But I think that's a mistake.
Yeah, yeah. Also the afterwards, no? The afterwards when we do full doses, there is much more risk. But also what I see is like maybe you can have one full dose, but sometimes the people they come with a lot of fear and they come with a lot of like respect and so on, and they go into the experience, and then when they come back and says, I want more, I want more, and then they say it's also good to not to try to serve much, because I guess as much more times you give it in one day, there is more chances to have a hard reintegration, or the flashbacks could be not so pleasant. Like you don't know which people is going to be pleasant. For me, as I told you, Octavio told me 3 times hardcore. I was coke addict, but I had the best three after after that experience. 3 or 6 months, they were the most beautiful months of my life. This is when I was like, wow, we have stars, we have air, we have plants, we have birds. It was like a newborn baby, and so such a beautiful thing that people was amazing around me. I was living in a place that I was coming in and out, and of course with the use of cocaine and alcohol, I was despective and I fuck off, and respectful with everyone. And then after the ceremony, hello, how are you? Thank you so much to open the door. And the security guards in the organization I was living, like, Kike, what happened to you? Like what you did, And I was like, what? Oh yeah, I'm acting much more decent than I used to be, with all this dark energy, with alcohol and the cocaine and so on and so on. So it's
I
a
love
it's a
that.
beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing, and I feel very thankful that I found you in my path, bro, and totally support you in whatever you do, because I know that you are doing this not for, of course, exchange of energy is normal. You need to understand it. Also, the people that they gonna learn with you, they need to understand that maybe in one weekend, if they organize well and they do a proper way, they will get back the invest, and then they will keep doing good profit, because as better as you are, more recommendations is going to be, says, okay, you want to go with someone, this guy knows what to do, because he's trained, because he prepared me, because he do the perfect set and setting, and also I was available to talk to him afterwards. It's not the same. It's totally different
Yeah,
if you go with someone else that is not prepared and somehow. So
agreed. It's
beautiful,
funny you
beautiful,
shared your
beautiful, that you are here, bro,
well,
in this
it's
planet.
same thing. That's what I said. I think you're one of the first, maybe only second facilitator I've had on. And again, there's not many that I felt complete alignment with. And anybody listening, I think you could see why. Again, it's ethics in this space, experience in this space, compassion in this space, humility in this space, right, is also huge. And it's when you care and when you're safe. I think safety shows that you care, because you've said a few things which I completely relate to. You know, we don't have to go hard out of the paint, meaning we don't have to give you 2 to 3 big doses. Like, let's take our time. This isn't just a one-time deal, at least for the folks I work with. I try to kind of set this space of we could work with this over the course of a year. We don't have to do everything today. Let's just
Yeah, yeah.
have an experience, see how you land and integrate that experience, and that'll give us an idea on how to move forward. It's not just show up, let's give you the maximum amount of medicine, and then see you later. That's just not ethical, I don't think. And it's not ideal. Like you said, especially here in the West, the ideal for me would for folks to come and take a week away from their cell phones, take a week away from the news and politics and all the noise that they hear, eat really good, clean, healthy food, do a little breathing, do a little meditation, relax, and work with it over the course of a week. And as a starting point, I think that's a good space. Now, I know a lot of folks listening that maybe want to facilitate are like, I don't have that capacity or that space. It's okay too, right? It doesn't always have to be the ideal, but it's this concept of trying to get folks away from, I call it jokingly the traveling circus, where it shows up in town, serve 100 people, which I was a part of. I did that so I can criticize it, because I think that's the beauty of kind of both of what we're sharing is when you know better, you do better.
Exactly.
And I'd like to think that a lot of people were helped when I was doing that, but also I reflect back now on how many people were harmed that I'm just not aware of because I didn't integrate with them. And that, I try not to lose sleep over that. And that's why I try to move forward the way that I do now. But it was funny you shared your story. Same thing again. I'm a big guy, as I mentioned. I Google search it, so I'm 199 centimeters or 2 meters tall and 109 kilos. So for
Wow.
European folks, that kind of gives you an idea. But I realized after my second ceremony how scared I had been my whole life, and that I had covered it up with like this anger and tough guyness, right? Like I'm strong. And I remember my second experience, I actually was in a group and I was the last person. And I remember coming out of the medicine and I just started bawling. I'm crying my eyes out, like the heavy sobs. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Mr. Tough Guy, you're crying in front of all of these people. And then immediately there was a part of my experience. I was like, good, this is what you need. And I just kept crying and crying and crying. It was the most healing experience to like just be able to release that in front of all these people, right? And I remember when I was at home, like a few days later, I was driving in my car and I heard a song come on and I started tearing up. And I'm like, are you crying over a song? Like that's like somebody crying at a wedding. That seems so crazy to me, but it like had shifted me so much and like softened me. And same thing, just more compassion towards everybody around me, more love for the people around me, and even love for myself. Which, if you asked me prior to that experience, people were always like, you just got to love yourself, man. You just got to love yourself. And I'm like, how can I love myself? I'm a jerk. I'm doing knucklehead things. How can I love that? Then immediately I realized that's just all your programming, your whole life. Every experience has kind of created this person that you think that you are. You didn't control that, but you can control how you move forward. And you need to move forward with a little bit more humility and more compassion and softness. But yeah, ever since then, I've been somebody that cries pretty often, and I'm
Yeah, no,
grateful for
I
it.
also I believe all that pain and all that sadness, it was so inside of you that was psychosomatic. You liberate it on the moment. You know, this is what I think what it can happens with the people that they never cry or they never release those emotions. After the buffo, they go, hey, Kiki, you know, I've been crying 3 days. What is happening? And down says, cry as much as you can, liberate all that sadness because this is something that you don't release many in so many years and the medicine is giving you the opportunity to release all that it was stuck in your system for such a long time, you know.
And I'm
So
so grateful for it. So grateful for it. And I'm glad that it
yeah,
actually, I don't love group experiences in general, but in that particular case, it was exactly what I needed to be, have all these people witness that, right? And feel okay with all these people witnessing it. But it also led me to want to work with men. Like I love working with, especially like military men, uh, bigger, stronger, the tougher they are, the more I love working with them because I saw what it did to me. And I remember I served two brothers. One was in the army, the other was in the Marines. And I was meeting them prior to the ceremony, and it was like a tough guy competition, like back and forth between them, like I'm tougher than you. And in my mind, I was thinking, in 20 minutes, this is going to be gone. And sure enough, they were laying next to each other, and they both reached out and they're holding each other's hands and sobbing. I'm like, that's what I love about this work, right? Like
very
those
beautiful, yeah.
moments are just like, I'm like, they will never be the same ever again. And I just relate to it for being one of those people. So it is also a beautiful opportunity to offer something to people that they can use to heal themselves. But it's also something I don't take lightly. It's also a huge responsibility, but also a gift.
Yeah, yeah, bro, it's beautiful that you're doing this, and it's amazing that people start doing like the five. I also respect them a lot. And also I invite everyone, to become humble, and I'm not telling you I am the master, because I have a lot of things to learn from you and also from my students. Sometimes I get surprised when I am teaching and people, they are already practitioners, but they want to improve. They come to me and say, Kike, I am working with medicine, but I hear that you have such experience and I want to improve, and I learn also from them. So it's beautiful that we can create a community, that all these facilitators, all these people that are learning, and teachers like you and me, to exchange all this experience, because on that we can learn and we can improve to make the things go much better than they are, in a way. Yeah.
I agree. Just to be respectful of your time, I got just a couple more questions, and I want to hear more about your course, when it starts, how people can sign up.
Well,
And this is
I'm,
a
I'm uh-huh.
go ahead.
I'm more than happy to help you. I see that you post some things on the groups. You keep going, keep doing it. As I told you, I also give you the facility to try to see if these people coming in trying to buy medicine into the groups, because I don't like it. But that's
Yeah,
why I have more people taking a look at it. And yeah, well, my course, I decided to prolong it a little bit longer. Will be in March, starting in March, because I prefer to have, I also choose my students, I see which part of them are ethicals, to see if they are really good to be prepared. Even sometimes I accept someone else, but sometimes people can be a little bit sick, and also working with this powerful thing, they can abuse and use it in the wrong way. Not because everybody does the same, but we need to prevent also. There is a lot of people that they have this powerful tool, and then of course the girls get more sensitive, and if they're men, they try, it's easier for them to approach them. And this is something that also we need to consider, and we cannot get in touch with our clients. And it seems to be that some people wants to have this power to abuse of it. So I choose the students. I have already a few of them. I think someone write me thanks to you, because he's in the European side. And whoever write me from America, I will redirect you anyhow. And also, I would love if you can share this interview between us, to put it in my YouTube channel, so that people can get informed that you are doing it. I will put your link, your information, and I will put mine and says, look, you're United States, with my brother in Europe, I'm here. And yeah, to try to train more people as possible to do a proper way, in a way.
I appreciate that, and I've looked at a little bit of your class. It seems very similar. It's like 5 modules, so you're tackling different aspects of this work.
Uh-huh.
You're also making sure that folks are certified in CPR, so you're doing all the right things as far as I'm concerned. No, this isn't a weekend course. I actually have 2 students in my current class that did one of those weekend courses. They're like, it was like 6 days and we did 3 medicines. And I'm like, that's not enough. So they actually came to the course. And again, I appreciate the folks that are trying to have those courses. I just think there's more to this. I mean, hell, I spend 5 days or 6 days just talking about the intake process, right?
Yeah.
So, like, much less how to serve 3 medicines ethically or correctly. And same thing, my classes has been tricky for a lot of the folks internationally. I do get a lot of international students, but a lot of them are coming to class at like 11 o'clock at night or 12 midnight, and that's just not ideal.
Hmm.
So absolutely, I've encouraged some folks. I'm like, reach out if that time feels better for it, do it. Again, it's not competition. We're both meeting plenty of people for our courses. Similar, I interview everyone. One person could ruin the whole class. Like one person could like mess up the energy in the entire space. So I've had folks that just signed up and I write them. I'm like, time out. Let's talk and make sure this is a good connection. And also I want to show them or talk to them about the course. So if they don't want to do, don't do it. There's plenty of people that want to do our courses. We just want good, compassionate folks with humility.
Yeah,
Um,
some people that that they need to understand that there is a lot to learn, no? And also from someone that already have experience, you know. I think it's such important thing uh, to come closer, that someone is providing good information with a Martin Wall that also has a lot of experience too, to ensure that the people get the right information, and also the ethical approach, you know, that is also very important in the field somehow.
Yeah, I agree, and something we've been doing, and I'm not sure if you do this, and it's okay if you don't, because I've been on the fence about it. Like I don't let folks in the class that haven't had an experience with the medicine because I don't think they're going to understand it or approach it, or like really truly understand it. So I've had folks that have not done medicine that like want to sign up. And I'm like, I'm doing this because I care for you. And
Of
yes, it
course.
costs money. I don't want you spending money on something that you won't really understand until you create a relationship with this medicine, whatever that means. So you have to have at least one experience to even really appreciate what we're talking about. And that's when I usually get, yeah, I've done a bunch of LSD, I've done a bunch of psilocybin, I've done Aya for years. I'm like, that's beautiful. This is a completely different animal. And you need to understand it. It's like, I haven't been to the Czech Republic, so if somebody asked me to take them on a tour of Czech Republic, I'm like, I could Google search it, but I'm gonna be a pretty terrible tour guide, right? So you got to be a decent tour guide for your participants, and we always encourage our students continue to maintain a relationship with this medicine, right? Just don't do it a couple times and that's it. Like similar to your class, I think yours was 5, 6 months. Like you have time to continue to work with this and grow with it and evolve with it and connect with it. So take your time. There's no rush. And as you said, yes, it costs money. If you do this correctly and you do it with humility and you do it with compassion, you're going to meet there's plenty of people that want to sit in this experience. And I think we've talked about it. Like I've got a wait list, you've got a wait list, right? Like we have plenty of people to work with.
Exactly.
And it's just becoming more and more well known. There's plenty of people that want to work with this medicine. So one, don't approach it from a monetary gain necessarily. Um, Approach it with like an interest in being compassionate and humility and understanding the medicine and being ethical, and that will attract plenty of people to make it worth your time. Um, one last quick question for you, and I'll let you go here.
Sure,
This
bro.
one, good. This one could be mildly controversial. All right, so
Uh-huh.
and I'm doing it last, so we can cut it out if it's too controversial.
Sure, no
Um,
worries.
but we've kind of talked about, I've been a pretty staunch advocate of really encouraging, especially my students or facilitators, to move away from the Bufo toad if they can. Um, I was trained in Bufo. I was facilitated Bufo. Bufo's beautiful medicine. I have nothing directly personal against it, but somebody that's like kind of a animal conservationist. I'm a vegan. I care about these animals. My concern is this continues to grow, that it's going to be unsustainable to get the amount of medicine needed to supply everyone. And so I compassionately encourage folks to consider moving to the pure molecule. It's more cost effective, it's more efficient on dosing, it's more environmentally friendly. And so I preach that message a lot. And again, I mean that with no no negative towards people that is what they use, because I used it for years. So it'd be weird for me to say I would, I was wrong. But I was wrong. And now that I know better, I do better. What are your thoughts on Bufo versus the pure molecule? Is there any difference in the experience? What's your take on that?
Well, on my own experience, I guess it's almost the same. I look at the Bufo like a little bit more male energy, and
Hmm,
the female a little bit more female. But at the end of the day, we need to understand as bigger is growing this, as more destroying nature is coming on. I have seen many crazy stuff that is very sad to see that people in the desert they taking frogs into the back, taking like 50, 100, I don't know how many, taking home, squeeze it there, and then deliberate. And the animal gets stressed and they die, or they get sick because the other one was sick. So also it's a protocol that the people needs to have of a good ethic facility, I call provider of a medicine. But
yeah,
it's not too many, as more money is involved into
yes.
this environment, as more people they do that in the fast, quick, and without any respect from the animals. Of course, they say that if you compare, we have 21 different tryptamines in one in the toad, and we have just the female. But I think both are beautiful medicines. And my approach, for example, now in these days, I have buffer from Mexico. I buy it from a good practitioner on recollecting. And what I do, I put
Hmm.
very little of the bufo and a little bit of five, and then I'll mix it, and then I save medicine. But I mean, talking on environment way, natural way to protect nature, I think the best we can do is to use the synthetic that it has also a beautiful results, and we don't need to uh, keep on respectful with the nature in somehow. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect answer.
Yeah.
And you kind of highlighted some of my concerns. And I know we both have done a good amount of medicine, not that it's a competition, but I've not been able to distinguish the difference in the experiences. Um, and again, from a dosing protocol, I feel like with the pure molecule or the synthetic molecule, I could really dose it exactly where I want to get them. Um, and I think what that's also led to is the creation of like these vape pens, right? The vape pens have become very popular, which I think is a good route of administration, but also concerns me a little bit because it's so easy. And there's a lot of folks that are just buying vape pens off the web, or selling them on Facebook groups, and people that are untrained or unprepared are taking these vape pens and utilizing them. That's a little bit of a concern. But in closing, what would you like to share with folks? Anything, any message, anything that you want to share that you didn't get an opportunity to speak on?
No, just to, I mean, if you're gonna do the work to do it the proper way and also to be trained, that it doesn't cost so much to learn. I think you have a good heart and you can also accept people that might they cannot afford the whole quantity. I do because I prefer that that people is prepared than to go being unprepared and start doing this work and put the medicine in the bad position, you know. So I highly recommend it to study, yeah, to experience and to listen to someone like you, or like someone experience how to work with it. It doesn't cost anything. It's 3 4 months, and then you can feel totally comfortable. It's not the same. It's not the same. Be prepared than be unprepared, and then start going on the wild west. So it's beautiful that you are here. I really thank you so much to be in touch and to be my friend. And any support from the heart, from you and from all the community, I think we are open to help anyone that is needed in a way, no, with
Yeah.
unconditional loving somehow.
Well, I appreciate, and I'd say exactly in exchange, same thing. And I want folks listening to understand this isn't, neither of us are trying to pitch our courses. What we really want to have a conversation about was, again, just safety in this space. We both have just a passion and a heart for this medicine, but also doing it and facilitating it safely. And as it continues to grow, because of, like you said, the Tony Robbins or the Mike Tysons have had these experiences, it's just important that people understand it, respect it, and just move forward cautiously, but again, with some level of humility and ethics. So again, that's what attracted me to you. Like I said, I've had lots of facilitator conversations. Most of them I'm like, eh. Um, but I really enjoyed that one. I was like, we were so on the same page on so many aspects of this. And again, it just seems timely that, we both have courses around the same time. Mine's in April, yours is in March. You're in a different time zone. You're 7, 8 hours ahead of me.
Mhm.
So it seems like it's a good match. And obviously, we're going to find a way to try to get you on some of my courses, even if it's a video, because I'd love you to be able to share your expertise with the folks that I'm working with. And in closing, yeah, absolutely take a look at what he's offering. Take a look at some of the Facebook pages, and just again, if you're already facilitating, reach out, create peer groups, continue to learn from each other. I think I respect the facilitators the most that are always still trying to learn and grow and be open. The ones that think that they've got it all figured out and they're not open. I'm a little bit more hesitant on that,
Yeah,
because we're both still trying to learn from each other and from others. And again, you've got a significant amount of experience and time in this space. So I respect you. I respect what you're doing.
I
And
also
yeah,
respect you so much, bro. I really thank you for crossing into my life, in my path, and beautiful, respectful what you're doing, and keep going, keep going. You know, the world need it in somehow. You
well, I
know.
appreciate that a lot. Well, again,
Yeah.
thank you for taking the time. I
Yeah.
think folks are really going to enjoy this. So yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah. Please send me a copy because I would like to share with the community.